Hey there, happy Valentine's Day. It's also my wife and I's wediversary. For those of you who also have this day as your wedding anniversary, congratulations. Today's question is, how do I avoid single points of failure? This is an interesting conversation to have because I talk to a lot of people where it's just them. So they are the single point of failure. I worked in corporate where a lot of times there would be one person who was the one with the most tribal knowledge. Usually that was me. But what happens if that person wants to go on vacation or they want to go to a seminar? What happens is the world can fall apart because that person isn't there. How do you ensure that isn't something that you have to deal with going forward? My simple solution, as always, is it documented? If it isn't documented, it doesn't exist. And you'll hear me say that a lot because it really is true. And I know from experience that that is true. What is really important is to consider redundancy planning. What happens when a person goes out? Is there a place where you can fill that gap with a process? And that's not saying that you should get rid of the person. It's saying that you should figure out how to deal with if that person isn't there. If you're handing off to another person, does that person have all the resources they need to be able to fill in for that person? There's many ways of approaching this. It's just the first step is identifying where those gaps are, and then begin addressing them. That's also not to say that you should address every single thing all at once. Pick one. If you have somebody who does your client onboarding, it's a person. Is there a way to address is it documented? There's a lot of ways of doing this. You can use Loom. You can use screen captures. Snagit is my favorite tool for screen captures and creating instructions and things like that. Sometimes it's automation, sometimes it's just documenting and training another person to be able to fill in, or having a SOP, a standard operating process guide, for that person to use when the person's out. Because if you don't do something every day, you're not always going to remember, well, wait, what was that process again? I would identify what happens if you're not there. What's the process to deal with these things if you're not there, or if the person that is in charge of that, billing, invoices, customer onboarding, somebody needs a copy of the proposal that you made, whatever it is, pick one thing and address it. And when you find out how easy it is to address that, move on to the next one. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know.